everyone, Chris here, and welcome to my channel. Today I'm going to talk to you about the books I read between May 4th and May 10th. First up, I'm going to group these two together since they're part of the same series, and that is Ghost Gone Wild and Ghost Wanted by Carolyn G. Hart, and I gave both of these books 4 stars. These are part of the Bailey Ruth Rayborn series. In the Bailey Ruth series, Bailey Ruth is an emissary or ghost that is sent from the Department of Good Intentions back to her hometown of Adelaide to help out individuals who have found themselves in tricky situations. In Ghost Gone Wild, she shows up just in time to save Nick, a video game developer, from getting shot. She quickly learns that she has been set up by Nick's late aunt, who is also a emissary from the Department of Good Intentions. And Bailey isn't supposed to be here. It is not a sanctioned trip, and that creates a lot of problems that she has to overcome when trying to help Nick figure out who is trying to kill him. In Ghost Wanted, Bailey is sent to help Lorraine, who is actually another ghost. And Lorraine likes to play matchmaker. Unfortunately, someone uses the legends surrounding Lorraine and her matchmaking skills to cause mischief. This leads to one of the people that Lorraine was playing matchmaker for becoming entangled in the mischief and a suspect in the crimes, and Bailey Ruth must figure out who is really behind things. So I liked Ghost Wanted slightly more than Ghost Gone Wild, but I feel like the farther I get into this series, the more I enjoy about them, because in a lot of cozy mystery series, you have like your regular cast of characters, but in this one, because she's being sent back to help different people each time, it has taken a bit to develop a cast of characters for me to get attached to, and we're finally starting to see some of the same characters pop up in multiple books and kind of develop that cast outside of Bailey and Wiggins, who is the head of the Department of Good Intentions. When it comes to the mysteries themselves, I found Lorraine, the ghost that Bailey was sent to help, a more likable character than Nick. And on top of that, I thought the stories surrounding Lorraine and what was happening to one of the people she was trying to play matchmaker for more interesting than what was going on with Nick. But either way, I enjoyed both of these books and looked forward to reading more in this series. Next up, I read The Blazing Star by Erin Hunter, and I gave this book 4.5 stars. This is the 4th book in the 5th arc of 6 of the Warrior series. If you're new to my channel, Warriors is a series that follows groups of forest cats that live in clans and have to try to find a way to coexist. In this arc, we're looking at the dawn of the clans, and we're getting to see how the clans came to be. In this arc is set way before the events that take place in the 1st arc of 6, and it's been really fascinating to see how the clans developed. I'm still really enjoying this peek into the past and how we're continuing to slowly but surely see the clans forming and seeing how the cats that started these clans ended up coming up with the territories and the traditions and stuff that is so intrinsic and set in stone when we first start this series, and I'm really looking forward to finishing this arc. Next up, I read The Lost Track of Time by Paige Britt, and I gave this book 5 stars. In this book, we follow Penelope, who loves to write. Unfortunately, her parents, mainly her mom, does not see writing as a valuable way of spending her time. And Penelope's mom is all about making most of every second of every day, to the point where she has Penelope's day scheduled pretty much right down to the minute, and it doesn't leave Penelope a lot of room to do the things that she wants to do. Then one day, Penelope finds that she has a day where it's completely unscheduled, there's nothing going on, and she's wondering what is going on, because it is very odd for her to have a day where there's nothing scheduled. There is a hole, a literal hole in her schedule, and she ends up falling into it. This lands her in the realm of possibilities, where she must figure out a way to get back home. I really love this book. It gave me Phantom Tollbooth by Norton Juster vibes, and that is one of my favorite books that I read when I was a kid. And I've read it as an adult and still loved it. I like getting to see Penelope in this new land and trying to figure things out, and how time is very important in this new land, just like it is to her mom. And it is interesting to see Penelope grow and develop as a character while she's in the realm of possibilities. I feel like Penelope learns a lot about herself and even some stuff about her mom while she's there. And I really liked this book. And like I said, it gave me some nostalgic vibes because it reminded me of The Phantom Tollbooth. And like I said, I love that book. So I really, really enjoyed this book and would highly recommend it. Next up, I read Pax by Sarah Pennypacker, and I gave this book 4 stars. In this book, we follow Peter and Pax. Peter rescued Pax when he was just a kit after his family is killed, as Pax is a fox. Peter is the only family that Pax has ever known. As a war approaches, Peter is sent to live with his grandfather, and his father insists that he release Pax into the wild as he can't bring him to his grandfather's with him. So Peter is forced to leave Pax in the woods by their home. Pax is certain that Peter will be coming back for him, so he waits. Peter doesn't last one night at his grandfather's house before he realizes he made a mistake and heads out to try and find Pax. So this book is told in 2 perspectives, Peter and Pax's, so part of it is from the boy's point of view and part of it is from the fox's point of view, and I think that makes things very interesting. I liked seeing both Peter and Pax's journey and how neither of them was ever far from the other's mind. I liked getting to see Pax adjust to being in the wild after having grown up, fully being taken care of by Peter, and it was interesting to see the kind of characters that he interacted with. I liked getting to see Peter's journey too, because I think Peter learned a lot about himself on his journey to go find Pax. I really enjoyed this book, and it really is a sweet story about a boy and his fox and how much they care about each other, but there's a lot more to it than that, like I said, with the war and everything that's going on in the background that causes Peter and Pax to be in this situation in the first place, and it is just a very intriguing read, and I believe a sequel came out recently, and I definitely plan to check that out. And lastly, I read Karma Girl by Jennifer Estep, and I gave this book 3 stars. In this book, we follow Carmen Cole. On her wedding day, she found out that her fiancé was hooking up with her maid of honor. On top of that, she lives in a world where superheroes and supervillains exist, and her fiancé and her maid of honor happen to be a superhero slash supervillain duo. This leads her to exposing their identities and kind of going on a crusade to expose other superheroes and supervillains, as she feels it's not fair that they lie to those closest to them in their life. She ends up in big time New York, where the superheroes there are the Fearless Five and their supervillains are the Terrible Triad. She works diligently to uncover their identities and one day manages to expose a member of the Fearless Five. Everything seems to be going good until the hero she exposes commits suicide, and that changes everyone's outlook on unmasking superheroes and supervillains. Not only does the public push back against Carmen, but Carmen herself feels tons of guilt. She stays away from the whole superhero world until one day her life is turned upside down and she has no choice but to dive back in to that world and try to figure out who is behind the masks of the Terrible Triad and the Fearless Five. So I really liked the concept for this book. It is a reread for me, but I did not remember really anything about it, and my reading tastes since the first time I would have read this have changed tremendously. I really like the superhero, supervillain aspect of this, but there was some insta-love in here, kind of, that I didn't like at all. Like, the romance part of this novel, I absolutely hated. I thought it was cheesy. Like, this barely eked out 3 stars. This is a very low 3-star. And I really did like the concept, but the romance part just did not work for me, and if I didn't own the second book, I probably wouldn't read it, but since I do, I will probably give it a try and see if it gets any better in the second book, or if the second book is just as cheesy and, like, insta-lovey, which I can't stand, as this one. But like I said, I did like the superhero aspect of it, so it wasn't all bad, but I also don't like steamy or explicit romance, and this delved a little too far into that part. I mean, it wasn't like super racy or anything, but it was definitely more descriptive than I would have wanted it to be. So these are some of the books I've read recently. What is a book you've read recently? If you've made it this far in the video, leave me a rocket emoji, like this video, and subscribe to my channel, and I'll talk to you next time. Bye!